welcome once again to Wars Going On. I'm Arcturus, and we are here on the Forerunner server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms. As ever, this is a community-based podcast, and we are joined today by two members of that community. We have Jake Spash and Sebastian Keynes. Do remember to like, subscribe, and get involved down in the comment section. It does help the channel grow and gets more people visibility of what's going on with the game. Right, so the reason we've invited Jake along today is you may have seen his videos recently about boosting in Arena. Now, I first came across this topic of the Arena boosting about 5 months ago when Jay and Gio put out a video talking about their experiences of Arena boosting. And that kicked off a little bit of frustration within the community because obviously those who weren't aware that it was taking place felt obviously understandably cheated. And it was certainly frustrating at the time to hear that the developers didn't seem to have a lot of interest in what they were talking about. I don't know if you've had a similar response from the developers since you've started putting your videos out.
I haven't really gotten anything specific yet. They're aware of it. I've given it to them, but I haven't gotten anything back as far as feedback, positive or negative. And I think that's partially because, kind of like we're going to talk about, there's some changes for Arena that are already in the pipeline.
Yes, but I mean, it's probably worth bringing this out a bit. I mean, how much have you found by talking to? You said you've got some various people involved through the community, so some like people, very strong players, and they've even been willing to put themselves forward. I think I saw in your last video.
Yes. Yeah. So, a couple weeks ago, I decided that I was gonna, you know, start covering it a little bit more in depth, right? So I reached out to someone that I knew was associated with the boosting group, and we were talking. We had a good talk. He was more than willing to offer information, and we talk, and eventually I get to the part of, well, let's do something about this. Let's work together to try to fix this problem for Arena, right?
Yeah.
And he's one person, right? So the group is a lot of people. Some of them have been there since it started about 13 months ago, right? So basically the agreement that we came to was that the members of the group that were in the queue to be boosted, right, that they could either offer their name ahead of time, tell me who's going to win, right, who they're going to boost, and I can make a video before weekly reset highlighting them and how they're going to boost, and then cover the fact that they do get boosted and that they ultimately win, and we can have a conversation in a public venue about it. And if they offer their names, I say it's an agreement, but it's more like a threat, honestly, a little bit of blackmail, because it was well, let's either work together. You're either with me or against me, right? So
Yeah.
I said that if they weren't going to work with me, so that we can expose this together and help pressure Moonton to fix the system, then when they did anyways, I would slander them and their guild and let everyone in the community know that they're cheaters. So that's kind of where we're at now. The last 3 weeks that I've been doing this, all 3 weeks, the members that are getting boosted have volunteered their names to help with this process.
Yeah.
So, first of all, Jake, welcome to the podcast, and thanks for agreeing to discuss this topic with us.
Yeah, thanks.
In terms of, just for the audience, are the audience that actually tunes in to watch this long form presentation, could you just define what exactly is meant by boosting? Number one, what is the benefit of it, or why are people doing it?
Yeah.
How is this being set up? And then the other thing that I want you to emphasize here, is how they're even getting around it, even with the whole thing about the developers introducing the blinding that they're supposedly be going on. So how are we getting around that? And
Yeah,
so just
excellent.
kind of set up that table there before we continue on as to how we can resolve this.
Yeah, excellent points. So the way that boosting happens is that when you're fighting matches in arena, you gain points if you win when you are attacking, right? If you beat someone else, you gain points, and when you attack and you lose points. Well, the same thing happens when other people attack you. When other people attack you and they lose and you win, you gain points. And if other people attack you and they win, then they gain points and you lose points, right? Which makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. So the way that the boosting is happening is that there's a group of people, right? 50-ish members of high-level arena players, and they've got a rotation, people that want to win the top one spot in arena. Okay. And so when it is player X's turn, we'll say it's their week. Over the weekend, before reset, they climb up as high as they can in arena. Ideally, right, top 5 or 10, but top 20 is still feasible realistically, right? So they climb up as high as they can by themselves. And then what happens is they communicate their team, right, their defense team, to this group of people. So the group of people knows exactly who the lineup is. They know who the heroes are, what the awakenings are. They know what country, right? Because we can see the flags. They know what country and guild they're from, right? Oh, maybe not guild. I think that's hidden in Apex, right? But they know
Yeah.
what country they're from. Sorry. They know what country they're from, and so they've got the entire lineup. And what happens is prior to reset, the members of this group they refresh their page until they get a page with the member that is supposed to be boosted, player X. So at that point, you wait until about 15 minutes before reset, and then all of these people, 5, 10, 15 people, however many people they have that are able to help support that week, all of these people attack that person and then automatically forfeit the match. And so you get 5, 10, 15 people that lose to this one person, all of them giving them, 5 to 12 points, probably, depending on where they are in the rankings. And then they do the same thing. They refresh, they spend diamonds, 20 diamonds, 20 diamonds, 20 diamonds, whatever. Refresh, find the person again, attack them, forfeit, lose. And so what this does is it artificially inflates that player's score by hundreds of points in 10 or 15 minutes. That would absolutely be impossible to do if they were actually fighting matches and winning them legitimately, because each match takes quite a bit longer if it's playing through to its completion, right? So that's what boosting is. What were the rest of your questions? I got
No,
caught up.
the other one was, is it like every week, is it a
Yeah,
separate player getting to get the avatar,
yeah,
or is it like repetitive because if you do get the top
yeah.
spot, you get so many Apex coins?
Yeah, so excellent question. So, it's for the most part, it's a different person every week because there's no benefit to getting top one other than the achievement. And here's the real benefit: um, people that want to sell their account, it's more valuable, right? Which technically you're not allowed to under the terms of service, right? Let's throw that asterisk out there, but it happens, and people that decide they want to sell their account, it's much more valuable if they have that top one, alluding to the fact that it has a certain degree of PvP capability, right?
Yeah.
So for the most part, it's a different person every week. There have been people that have done it multiple times, but for the most part, people are rotating through.
Let me ask you this as well, because I used to play another game. I don't know if you want to mention it, because if I
You
do,
can mention
there's going to
Polarum
be
and Raid.
there's going to
'Cause
well, if I mention it, I think that there's going to be a specific guild that might think that I'm singling them out. But in that game, one of the things that would happen at reset is not only you could, if you wanted to intentionally, lose to the top or whoever was being pushed, you could do that. But you also had your clan, right, kind of protect you. So what they would do is they would go hit number two, number three, number four to try to keep them away from number one. Is that happening, or is it just it's just whoever is part of this chat, regardless of the guild they're in, they're just going to single out this person and just lose to them purposely? They're not attacking whoever is behind them.
No, no, for
Okay.
the most part, not. Now it is a group of high level players, right? So the people that are helping are in the upper rankings of Apex, right? They're able to attack and win, but it's just much more efficient for everyone to lose to the one person. So what you're referring to is something that I covered in my last video where um, when I pushed for top one, right? We'll use a personal example. When I pushed for top one, as it was closing out, there's a lot of circumstances and factors that led up to this, right? But at the end of the day, um, Sunday night for me in the United States, as it was closing out, I was taking care of the two people that had been kind of battling me for the spot all week, and then someone else, a third party, started to make a last minute push, and to help make my life a little bit easier so that I could focus on the fight that I had been having all week, a couple of my guild members started attacking that third party that was trying to climb up and make a push for top one, which helped, like play linebacker, right? So we're just
Yeah, yeah.
attacking different parties. And so that's very common in general, but that's not what's happening in this group. And the group actually sees that as just being the way that they're doing it, right? They just see it as a smarter form of that. It's more efficient for everyone to focus and lose to one person instead of everyone trying to attack and still need to win and everything. It's a positive adjustment in their eyes.
So this has been kind of going on since day one, right? Since global launch, you saw it and the standings, and so eventually the developer said, well, okay, we're going to start blinding things, and we're going to make sure that the opponent is not visible and stuff like that. But that doesn't really provide any help at all. And in Forerunners, we kind of called that because you can still see it on the leaderboard, and you can
Yeah.
kind of
yeah,
make an assessment of who it is that you might be targeting, especially with the flag. The flag
Yeah.
is a dead giveaway,
yeah.
right?
The flag, the border,
The
and the
or
icon.
yeah,
You can work
Yeah.
out
yeah.
who people are in the top 100 easily.
It's not even remotely difficult to know who people are.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
we kind of at that time, especially after Jay and Geo had released their video, Arcturus and I still discuss it. This is going to remain. It's going to be prevalent. It's not going to change because there's still cues that you can take as to whose defense it belongs to who.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is different from what
Yeah.
was experiencing with the other game. It's not like you having a whole guild coming after you,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
you are purposely being escalated up the leaderboard because people are losing to you, and not they don't really care what happens to them, right? Or they just try to climb back up, given that these are top accounts, and then find you again and then boost you again.
Yeah.
So
So one thing I want to clarify, just for anyone who's new to this subject, this hasn't been happening since the beginning of global launch. It's been happening since the beginning of Arena 2.0, which was about 13 months ago. In the beginning of global launch with what we term Arena 1.0, the scoring system was very, very different. You just got, a set number of points no matter where you were in relation to others. So it was really easy for someone to stockpile a bunch of tickets and then right after reset just burn through dozens of tickets, and get thousands of points ahead of everyone else, and then no one ever even tried to catch up until Arena 2.0 happened, and then we got into this situation where the boosting is happening. Yeah.
Okay. But there was still kind of the tables were being set to make sure that one person propelled up the top to get that top one avatar, right? I mean
In
that
1.0,
in 1.0, yes.
yes and no. So the similarity is that there was still kind of a group in charge, right? In Arena
Mhm,
1.0, it was Mad that won every week.
mhm,
But
mhm.
that wasn't because Mad was, as a group, was ensuring that their person won. It was just that the game was younger. There were less end game accounts. There were less end game guilds. There wasn't very much competition, honestly. And
Right.
so to make sure that Mad members weren't competing with Mad members just so that they didn't waste resources,
Yes,
um,
exactly.
Yeah.
there was a queue essentially, right? Where, okay,
Exactly.
this is your week. This is your week, but it's your week. Like, you still need
Yeah.
to win. You need to use
Mhm.
all of your tickets. We're not going to get you there. You still have to do it yourself legitimately. So
Okay.
the
That's
similarity
been
is that there
happening.
was
Yeah,
a
that's been
group,
happening since the
but
beta stages. So
execution was
yeah,
completely
that's
different. Yeah.
understandable.
Okay. All right. But either way, that has some, yeah, there was something established to make sure that you could get the top avatar. But 2.0, yeah, it became more evident, right? Because now you have a specialized group doing this. So in your videos, did you discuss any type of solutions to try to, counter this
Yes.
type of
So
problem?
I one, I opened it up, I asked the question, lots of solutions were offered in the comments. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going to talk about maybe one or two per video. So the first one that I did that covered the first person that offered their name, my suggested solution is, once you're in Apex, um, you hit attack, you get a random opponent, right? It's just blind. Plus or minus
Yeah.
50 positions, you don't know. Um, and that doesn't affect, people in lower levels, right? Plat 2, Plat 3, anything like that. Like, you still have the added strategic benefit of picking and choosing your opponents. But once we're talking about Apex, the top couple hundred people, we take that away and we just see, what can you do?
Yeah, and they do actually have the capability to do that. I mean, here on the Forerunners, we've been running this on a gauntlet thing, which is their version of real time arena. You've probably seen it on the test server, and we don't have you. You literally do click attack, and it
Yep.
goes finding a match, and it picks someone out at random, and you attack them. So they've obviously got the back end to kind of do that matchmaking, but yeah, it's obviously it's not something they've rolled out to standard arena yet, which is a little frustrating because that would be an easy fix to put in for everybody. And as you say, it would only limit
Yeah.
the top line. But there does seem to be a reluctance to make changes that only affect a small group from the
Yeah.
developers. We've seen it on a couple of other things as well.
Yeah, that's true. And this specifically, it's a very small subset of the population, right? So, um, we'll see, right? My next, the next thing I plan to put forward as an option, and I didn't plan to present it in this forum, but I think it works better, honestly. My next solution is just to ban the next person that does it. Ban a whale that has spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, others will notice and they'll stop. Um, I'm not suggesting that for any of the people that specifically put their names forth to help me in this process and this endeavor. That was part of the deal that I made, right? That, like, anyone who comes forth and says, I'm going to put my name on the line, I'm going to put my account on the line, right? We're working together to make the process better. But um, I think from like a Moonton solution perspective, that's simplest to me. lose one person and send a
Yeah.
message.
No, and it's a very strong message to send to the community. But yeah,
Absolutely.
again, they seem quite reluctant to I mean, some games do like a monthly list of these accounts have been banned, and it sends a message to the community that it, if you're messing around and you have a series of videos of like screw around and find out, that I mean, that is literally it. So, the people have screwed around. They found out the hard way that you will get kicked. So, if the developers do that, it does reinforce that if you cheat, you're gone. You're breaking the rules. You go.
Yeah. And now technically, right, it's not cheating. It's within the 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 system parameters, right? They're following all of the rules that are in place. But I would say to um a large portion of the population, especially the competitive arena population, right? That's how it's perceived. Is it's unfair and it's not real, right? It's
Mm.
illegitimate. So that's a really big part of the frustration.
So when I did my video in Arena in Forerunners, when the whole new point system came out and we saw how it just affected the level that you were able to climb. When I went even further and said I start, here are the red flags that I'm picking up with this new system, and I think some of the suggestions that I gave, and I want to see what you think about this, because one of them was as soon as you reach Apex on the last day, this leaderboard tab should be locked out for you. Just like they lock out the stuff in the shop, right? You have to be able to reach Overlord before a certain row of things open up for you. Maybe the reverse happens here, that the leaderboard locks out for you the last day that once you get into Apex, and then the whole matchmaking system is that random one, the one that you were saying, right? You just
Yeah,
click and then boom, you get an
yeah.
opponent selected for you. So that was one solution. The other one that I brought forth too was that as soon as you hit that opponent, and if you win, then it locks out for you for 20 or 30 minutes. Like that opponent, either you cannot hit again, or it just does not show up in your refreshes for the 20 or 30 minutes.
I
And so you're
don't.
not able to consistently double hit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Unless,
The first one I really like. The caveat that I would put there is that once you are in Apex, regardless of what day, it just
Mhm,
Overlord's locked, right? Or not Overlord, the leaderboard. Sorry,
People, yeah.
mhm.
the leaderboard is locked. You can't see it once you're in Apex.
So it is happening
Now,
because I don't play Arena enough for me
yeah,
to even look to see what happens in Apex. But my understanding is, even if whatever level you're in, you're still be able to see this leaderboard,
yeah, yeah, you absolutely can.
right? Yeah.
And that could help a little, but not. It wouldn't make a huge difference. The only like that really helps as far as knowing like when we're boosting here. It's really easy. Not we, right? But when this group is boosting, it's really easy to know how much they need to boost, right?
Right.
Because they can see the score of everyone else, regardless of the teams.
Mhm.
So that could absolutely help for sure. It takes away a huge strategic element from everyone, though, not just the people that are boosting. Because even when you're trying to do it legitimately, um, y- understanding where you are in that top 10 and where everyone is in that top 10, right, in relation to you, that factors in a lot as far as when you're choosing to do your attacks. Maybe when you're intentionally losing attacks because there's a cap on lose per day, right? So how much you do earlier in the day versus later in the day, right? The points play a big part into that. So I think it could help. I'm not sure it's something I would recommend, because of the strategic element that it would take away for everyone else. Um, yeah, and then the second one. Sorry, what was the second one?
as soon as you hit an opponent in Apex,
Oh yeah,
and you win, it locks you out 30
yeah,
minutes, let's say, from hitting
yeah.
that opponent again.
Yeah, again, I don't like that one because assuming you know who is in the top 10 or 20 with you, right? Then you are hunting for certain people, right? Assuming that it's not completely random. Assuming that it's not random, assuming that we keep our five teams and we get to pick and choose who we want, right? We match it up with who's on the leaderboard and who we want to lower their points intentionally, right? Something similar as far as like locking out time that I think would be effective is you you can't um, you just can't forfeit a match. I think that's an easy um, solution that 95% really only um, affects this. But again, how often do people? I don't know. Maybe I guess now that I'm saying it out loud, how often do people play arena, realize that they're losing 3 or 4 rounds into it, and forfeit? I don't know honestly. You okay? I
All the time,
don't know.
all the
I
time.
literally I only do arena on Sunday and I just like do a few auto battles to get into Overlord or Apex depending on the week. And I don't even think about it. I like play with my kids or something while I just let it auto battle in the background. So I'm kind of my position, my perspective isn't the best there. I'll admit it.
Well, I mean,
But
I know that I'm taking away some of the strategies that some of these
yeah,
players might the players that are actually doing it the right way, you're right.
yeah,
But we're talking about combating the system.
yeah,
Now, I'm just saying from a company point of view, banning people, I guess you could do that. But I don't that's like the last resort. There has to be a way for them to at least say, we're trying to fix this problem.
yeah, for
You
sure.
keep doing it. Okay, now we can start talking about bans, right? Instead of jumping right to and say we're gonna
Yeah,
start banning accounts that we see are getting boosted to get this
yeah.
stuff out there.
Um, well, the it would need to be something associated with the losses, right? Not with the wins. Because if the person is attacking and they're trying to win, right? Then we're talking about someone who's using the system as it is intended to be used. What we're trying to prevent is the coordinated losses against a single person. So
Okay.
um so
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe if the system detects a spike
yeah,
of losses against a certain account, it basically neuters the points that that person is gaining. They
It
basically
zeros
get
it. Yeah.
zeros it. So
Mhm.
yeah,
if there are 3 losses in 3 minutes or so, or less than that, then it says something funny is going on here, new to those points.
yeah, I think that would be a really simple solution, actually, right? If more, and we couldn't know the amount, right? Because then it could be
Mm,
manipulated. But if
yeah.
something got put in where every X number of losses within Y time triggers the system, that future losses to that person give 0 points for, I don't know, 30 minutes. I think that's a really simple solution that would be highly effective, honestly.
Just thinking
Yeah.
about it from a database management perspective, it's probably the simplest solution to put in.
Yeah.
Mm. Because I'm trying to think of I don't know if you played Raid Shadow Legends, Jake, but when I used to
Yeah.
do the plat push, if I remember correctly, if somebody hit you a third time and they lost, I don't think we got points on that defense log side, right? So
I
I
don't
think it
remember.
limited, if I remember. I mean, I have to go back, maybe talk to for players that are still playing the game and they're plat pushing. But I do think that in the defense lag, if somebody would multiple to hit you
Yeah.
multiple times, it would not give you any more points.
Yeah.
And I gotta go check too if there is the you can't hit an opponent again within a 10-minute span because I thought that also was introduced into the game. to try to combat some of the arena cheating that was going on there too. So,
Wow.
but yeah, so I mean, these are suggestions that I made in the past before, and I know that they're they're just probably going to say, well, we're changing tactics and we're changing the maps and stuff like that. But when you have a coordinator effort going on of targeting an individual and just losing to them purposely, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a heavy, or it takes a lot of time, it could take some resources and stuff like that to make sure that that is accomplished. So,
Yeah, there's people in this group that spend thousands of diamonds just to help boost someone, right? Just
mhm,
for the cause.
yeah,
Um, it's kind of crazy. I think something else that might help, honestly, is is dangling like a carrot, like doing something positive, right? Instead of
mhm,
just, you know, I'm a fan of heavy-handed stuff sometimes, right? Hence my banning offer, or locking people out, after a few losses, whatever the case may be. But if we made, doing well in arena actually beneficial, right? Because like right now, there is no benefit to pushing in arena other than top one and Apex. Like there's no
Yeah.
difference between positions 2 and 300. No difference whatsoever. You still get the same exact rewards. And even top one, it's really, honestly, it's not worth it other than for bragging rights and selling your account. Because you get an achievement one time, and and that's it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get
You
an
get your
avatar.
1,500 Apex coins, your
Yeah.
two things. So, yeah.
So if there were legitimate like rewards for first through 10th place or first through 20th place, right? To make people actually want to compete, right? Because right now it doesn't, if this group has 10 people in the top 20, and then 9 of them intentionally lose to number 10, right? And those 9 then fall out of the top 20. Like right now, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. They still get the same exact rewards as if they were boosted and got first place, right? Um, but if we actually make it a little incentivized, right, where there's something that you get, there's a carrot that's being dangled for doing well. I think that's something that could help also.
Yeah, I know. I don't have I don't enjoy arena. You saw I had like 300 arena tickets sat out in the corner, and they're getting
Yeah,
bigger every week. So I'm hoping that something will turn around and it will do. I mean, the biggest carrot at the moment is this lady behind us here, Lady
yeah,
Alexandra, and from what I've seen of her, she's a menace wherever she's deployed. She's not
yeah,
unbeatable, but she's a menace.
yeah,
And now you are seeing like A4, A5, Lady Alexandras from the top accounts, and yeah, it's everyone who doesn't have access to her is suffering, and then now they can't compete against the people who have got her because she's such a pain in the neck. So it doesn't help the situation. She didn't help the situation. She only made it worse.
yeah. And we
um,
kind of, especially in Forerunners, we kind of saw that coming about too. So the environment in Forerunners has been shrinking. Not many people push arena. So, given the point system, it's really hard to get to Overlord because there are situations that even in your plat 3, you still get matched against the top 10 accounts because the population is so low. So that is something that we're looking here that they hopefully can alleviate. So at least those that are still playing can collect some Apex coins. But in global, you have all these heavy GBG people that are trying to push so far up that eventually the people that really cannot play the game mode, the ones that don't have Pradiuses and Ingrats, they pretty much get shut out, right? It's really hard to get to Overlord and try to win some matches there so you can get some Apex coins.
yeah,
So I agree with Arturus. She kind of made things a little bit worse. For those that can get her, is worth it. But yeah, it's just there's something that needs to be fixed in this environment, especially when it comes
yeah,
to the ability to collect those Apex coins. That's what we kind of said, Overlord 10 Apex scores per win sounds low. Maybe that's what you should be applying to Platinum 3. And
Yeah.
those that actually push and get into Overlord could get a little bit more. And then those that are in Apex and want to just really grind this out. I
Yeah.
can't imagine why. I can't
A-
imagine, to be honest. So, but
And the
yeah,
other thing is that for newer accounts, they're still doing the Odyssey. They have a
Yeah.
requirement to get into Platinum 3 for 3 weeks.
yes,
As there are more and more stacked accounts who can't get into Apex, who can't get into Overlord, they're sitting in Plat 3. And you've got these players who want to come in, and they're basically being gate from completing that init quest line. So that's a problem there.
Sidebar, semi-related. Why have there been 2 Praetus and 2 Ingrid banners within 6 months, 8 months, whatever, right? 2 in a year.
Hmm.
Like that's two Valdron banners within a year. They're, I don't know. I from a collector standpoint, it makes me happy, but from a competitive standpoint, they're too powerful to do banners for that often.
Right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, Ingrid on the season 7 map is an absolute menace. If she's in a keep, she's not unbeatable. Everyone knows they're beatable. They can be baited. They can be got round. But I mean, those long runs where she's got
Yeah.
an opportunity to unleash is just devastating. Kratos is just an amazing lord. He's used every single game mode where he's really good. I hate Valderon. I don't have the guy, but every time I encounter him, there are very few occasions where I come away winning. AoE Arena, I can normally pick them, but that's because I have my cheese grater from hell, which is Ingrid, Ardia, and Valkyra, who just blast everything at entrance. But again, that's abusing Ingrid to
Yeah.
take everything out. So
But you're saying that just having 2 15x banners for this heroes is too much or too
I think
few?
I think it's too much.
It's
I think
too
that is
much. Okay.
too many banners because they're too strong. It puts too many of them into the pool, and especially from a whale perspective, when you can buy hundreds of ancients every single time there's an ancient banner and stockpile until there's one of them, it is not hard for whales to get them A5. Um,
Right.
so like having the banners for the like no argument strongest champions in the game, like almost everywhere they are, but specifically PvP, right? I don't think that we should have banners for them that often. I think once a year is a maybe, honestly.
And we have about, is it 25 lords or because I would like to have that rotation, having like one banner just be a standard banner and then the next one come in and be a 15x, right? So then in that rotation, these heroes don't come up as often as you say. But in there are instances here where Muntan just decides, oh no, we're gonna have a regular banner, and then right away we're gonna hit you with a 15x, and then right on top of that come in with another 15x right away, right? So they pretty much, I think that they're driving their banners based on what they perceive to be, okay, this is possibly our quarter, right? Let's make some money here and let's try to push this, right?
yeah,
And
and I think the two lockouts that have happened in the last year. So we had the US,
yeah,
we had the App Store lockout in September, where people weren't able to upgrade, weren't able to do anything because they couldn't update the app. And likewise, they've just had another one. So they do these things as a way of kind of an apology to the community and a way of getting back the revenue because obviously people want these big heroes, so they put lots of spend in to try and get access to
yeah.
them. But yeah, it does skew the game, especially arena. It just makes it so painful to fight against them.
I
We'll tell you that.
absolutely understand like why it's happening, right?
Yes.
Especially when it's special times, right? Anniversary, Christmas, right? Like, um, but it kills PvP
It
for
does.
98% of people. It really does.
And I don't expect it to get any better anytime soon. because I'm actually because I'm curious as to what is doing to the game, especially with what happened with the minivan and the fact that there's still lingering issues with the TikTok ban that have not been addressed. So I'm trying to keep on top of the news. But one of the things that you can keep up with these mobile games is their income. And you can tell that if this game lost over the last since the ban, so since the period where that message popped up, United States players cannot access the game, and eventually we did came back in.
Yep.
But since that period, when in terms of United States revenue, they have lost about 80% of it over the last
Wow.
couple of the last 30 days from those trends that I'm seeing. So a lot of their income right now is only coming from China, their
Yeah.
China server, right? The one that they just opened up. So they're going to have to figure out a way to try to make up that ground once things are resolved, or however they're able to run the game, right? And I
Yeah.
think that when that period comes, once everything is settled and the dust is settled, and they know how they're going to be able to run the game in the United States to comply with the law and run it effectively in the global server or in the global servers, then I think that that's when we're going to be hit with these banners again, and they're going to try to make up ground with it. And unfortunately, we're going to, yeah, all these players that
Sebastian
cannot get those
confirming
heroes.
another one coming up.
Well, no, I'm just saying all these players that get caught off guard. It's yeah, it's or they cannot get these heroes into their accounts, are not going to be able to catch up or sustain in a sense.
Yeah. I think, I mean, to a certain extent, the damage has already been done, regardless of whether
Right.
they rerun banners for those top three, right? But I would highly suggest to the developers, right, that like at whatever point in the future that power creep champions get released that surpass Valderon, Ingrid, and Praetus, right? They don't get 2-3 banners a year. It puts too many of them into the system. um it really it
Yeah,
just
it,
it
it has
Yeah,
it has to be a special banner. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. If you want to have ancient banners do it, just leave them. They don't have to be a special banner. Just leave it as a standard. Get lucky, play the RNG game
yeah,
type of situation. If you score
right.
an Ingrid or a Previous, you score them. But
Who
yeah,
was
it's
it
like don't.
last year, the Praetus banner at anniversary, right?
Mhm.
Fasty did like 1,000 ancient pulls for someone. Who was it? Do you remember?
uh, I can't remember. I do remember seeing the video, but
I don't
yeah,
remember.
Wasn't
It
it
was, it was
Sassy? Sassy did
it was
made
Sassy. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
It
then
was
yeah, yeah.
Sassy. So,
He left.
and remember, I don't know if you remember or not, but he said that he saved up that many um, because he wanted to win an ultimate leaderboard in case an ultimate leaderboard gave Praetus as a reward, because he thought Praetus was so strong that
Mhm.
Moonton would never do a single banner for him, right? and
Yeah.
and now there's been two since then, obviously.
Mhm.
um it especially when we can amass ancients, like people that spend money can amass ancients so quickly. It really makes a huge divide when those super strong champs have multiple banners on a regular basis.
Right.
yeah. I mean,
But
ancient heroes in general, they can be so devastating to teams that don't have them. Because I mean, I don't have Carnelian, so I find a lot of arena where chaotic heroes are just not favored on my account. I really struggle to pull them, and so getting someone like that who's so powerful, and again, I've mentioned Valderon as well, who's avoiding my account. If I'm trying to go compete with people who do have them A3, A5, and it's just absolutely impossible for me to progress. And so I try and work around them as best I can, but they're devastating if you don't have access to them. I mean, I have to say things have improved since they fixed the pity system in the game on the summons, and I have been more lucky than I have been for a long time. But yeah, it
Nice.
definitely makes a difference if you don't have access to these heroes.
And there's always going to be heroes that some people have access to and some don't, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm my my position is that like the super 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 duper crazy powerful best in class everywhere you put them, like they shouldn't have banners all the time. It's kind of a unique situation, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they did. There was a dev note months ago which suggested the name of the new faction coming is the Secret Society.
Yeah.
So, if anything, that faction should not announce when there is going to be a banner. They should just appear. They just randomly appear throughout the year. Just a random. It could even be midweek just to throw everybody off. But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
there's ways of dealing with these super powerful heroes. But yeah, pushing them out all the time, you've got to you either run it like a limited hero and they have it, they come up, they have the big banner, you wail for it, you get it, you push it as hard as you can, and then it drops into the standard rotation,
yeah.
or you end up in the situation where they're pushing them out twice a year. And the drop rates on that last Ingrid banner were insane. So many people were pulling her.
Yeah, I pulled 3 copies of her in 30 ancients. Wild. There's more people with A5 Ingrid and Praetus than there are people with, a limited like an A5 Kagiri or Sun Wukong or something like that. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, without getting into like summon analysis and just saying it's pure statistics and shit happens, but I mean,
Yeah.
I did like over 600 summons for Dao Chan, and I placed on the ultimate leaderboard on the Forerunner server, and I was A0, and stuff happens, and it's frustrating, but my account got a massive boost along the way, and it's like fair enough. I would have liked the A1, but I'll live with what I got.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of timing, I just want so are there any final comments that we have regarding the arena boosting? Because it's really hard for me to comment on it because I really don't enjoy the content. I find it so boring. Just give me the
Yeah.
boons. I've been asking for boons for so long, something to entice arena, just to maybe make a faction just shine for a particular week and then not just consistently have to go against Baldurans in single target arena. But yeah, I think I've kind of given my 2 cents on how this stuff can be fixed for the
I
blinding system to actually work.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's just I don't see this being resolved anytime soon, unfortunately.
I really
Right.
don't either. I think there's kind of 2 things that we can do, right? Anytime something's like really frustrating me, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? Even if I can't completely solve this solution, like what is within my control? And I think there's 2 things that the player base can do, right? If they want it to change, right? One is to make noise about it, right? In whatever way, shape, or form, in people's discords, on the official Discord, in like suggestions to the devs, right? Sending stuff in game. Like the more of that stuff that pops up, right? The hotter the item becomes, the more pressure it puts on Moonton to actually do something about it. And the other thing, if you don't even want to go the route of pressuring the company to do something, we can pressure people internally, right? Like if I'm going to throw names out here. All right. No one take this personally, right? If CLS or, Dragon Slayers or the Shire or, these top guilds, right? If every one of these top guilds that has lots of people that are very competitive, right? If the guild leaders actually put their foot down and said, listen, I'm not going to stand for it in this environment, right? So I will find someone to replace you if you do that behavior in my guild. If we, as a community, as a collective end game player base, said, no, I'm not going to allow it. And we actually like held our ground and kicked people out of our guilds and made them find new homes, that would have an impact. 2 things that we can do that's within our control. Whether or not it'll happen, it's out there.
It's an interesting one. I mean, there's been so much movement in the top guilds since the end of season 6 into season 7 that, I mean, there is certainly scope for doing that. But at the same time, it's really hard because a lot of those accounts do change hands. So if someone then changes, but comes in and they don't know of the legacy of that person, so I guess it's one of those things that needs to be reinforced time and time again to remind people. But yeah, again, that's how people manage their guilds, and it's on the guild leaders to control
right?
that.
And that's the thing, is that a lot of guild leaders, at least in the conversations that I've had, right, the interactions that I've had with a lot of people, the guild leaders don't care, right?
Yeah.
If they're competitive in PvP, then that's what they care about. They don't give a, and when I say PvP, really I mean GVG, right?
GVG. Yep.
Because there's no guild benefit or loss to arena, right? So um so it doesn't hurt the guild if someone is or isn't doing this in arena, because the only thing that matters is GVG. So most guild leaders don't care, right? Which then encourages the behavior, because if we walk past a problem, then that problem becomes the standard. That's just how life is, unfortunately.
I mean, on that note, I think that kind of wraps things up quite nicely on Arena. There is some potentially good news on the horizon. So,
Absolutely.
on the Forerunners, as in our last 2 days of the current Arena season, we finish this Arena season on the 23rd of February. And then we go into the new Arena season. And that was kind of, we have next to no information in the patch notes about it. But it basically says there's going to be new stages with new monster mechanics, anti-air, DPS, AoE, single target, and it's going to kick in from wave 6 onwards. So the trainer mode currently says you can try the new maps. I tried earlier. The trainer is exactly the same. So I think I'm not going to be able to play around with it till Monday. If I have time next week, I might try and get a video out. I very much doubt I will, but we'll certainly talk about it next weekend. And yeah, so there is new stuff on the way. The third point here about previous auto reckons will not carry over, so you need to redo all of your auto fights. And it implies that system AI will do your defense. So good luck, everybody. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
I think that's for if you don't set up your defenses. I think that's what it's
Yeah.
meant for. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
but
would be
still,
my assumption.
Yeah, but I mean, is it going to take the gear you've already said? Is it going to take the gear that you've currently got of those heroes? It's
I
going to
wouldn't
be
trust it to do anything
No.
correct. But
it
I
already
mean,
has. I was going to
this
say
is
it already
good.
has enough hard time running or doing things like you wanted them at 3.5 speed.
Seriously.
It's hard to trust them to do anything at all.
Oh,
Um,
3.5 speed is a bugbear.
I'm excited for these changes, but it won't change anything on the boosting front, right? All it's going to do is make the top players redo their teams, right? There might be different champs that are used. The gear might maybe change a little bit, probably not. The timings will change, but the system itself, the scoring system, is the problem. And that's not going to change here. It's just going to make the maps a little bit harder. It's going to be one new problem to solve, and then as soon as that problem is solved, then back to business as normal.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
it's
in terms of the mechanics of it, what I'm hoping to see is, number one, that there is no portal plugging. Like, don't give everybody the opportunity to just put stuff right at the portal and kill everything. Have the monsters actually develop and come at you, or have some type of give them some type of advantage, or at least allow other heroes to come into play in this mode.
Yeah.
The other one that I'm hoping that I think could resolve a lot of these issues is what we're seeing in Honor's Gauntlet, Arturos, where these monsters are actually dealing damage. Like, if you don't protect yourself, you're gonna get wiped out. So I hope that they introduce that mechanic. The passive and commander skills, I don't think we'll see it in Classic Arena, but it'd be intriguing if at some point they come into play, like in an off week, or just to change things up every week. Just bring in a commander skill or a passive skill,
You're desperate to get
or
your boons going, man. I mean, you keep
I'm
banging the same drum.
I'm going to, because I
Yeah.
want to see just some type of effect in the arena mode that we have to counter every week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, give me piercers gain 15%. Okay, so now can we do anything with piercers? Or if we for some reason have to deal with the stun mechanic of the commander skill, now we have to put our defenses together. Maybe something that, maybe there's a hero down the pipeline where it's resistant to stun or CC or something like that, right? Where we can incorporate it into the team. I'm just thinking, just give us something that every week we can look forward to, an arena that changes, where we can say, okay, maybe Dao Chan doesn't play this week, but this other support hero does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to provide a little bit of variability, right?
Yeah,
Because right
exactly.
now, I mean, you can set it and not touch it again for months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need some sort of
Especially
variability. To make it
especially
interesting.
if you're just like me, where I'm looking at Saturday, Sunday, and ask myself, am I an overlord? And if I'm not, I'll push, and then I just sit there and let
Yeah.
things happen for the reset, and then I collect my rewards. That's exactly
Same.
what happens. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, Jake, are you happy to sit around while we go through the rest of the patch notes, or do you want to say your goodbyes and head off into the sunset?
If you'll have me, I'll stick around. Kids are being
Perfect.
awesome right now, so
Okay.
I'll hang out.
Oh,
Cool.
write it.
So, Forerunner patch notes. So, as ever, we do get new stuff coming in. They've switched up Dao Chan, how her display between her different modes. I will just jump into Gear Raid 1 and show you, because that is actually really obvious now between the two different modes when she's running. So here we go, Gear Raid 1. Auto fight, desperately hoping that everybody in this team is geared. They should be. And so obviously she starts and she's in her little feather mode here. So here she is. She's in mode 1, and then she swaps, and her hair, the icons change, and the ultimate icon changes as well to a different color.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little visual indicator of the two modes that are going on there. So that was a nice little addition to the game.
Small but valuable.
Small but valuable, yeah. I mean, they still haven't put in stack indicators for Ivar or for any of the other people. I mean, Solkanen, you don't really need them because he builds them up so quickly that you never really notice them gone. But yeah, there's other heroes with stacks who is really quite useful. I think a stack counter for Ivar is high on my desired lists.
I would love that.
Lubu, they've changed the bond skill icon. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, they've changed his bond skill icon. It now looks like, he says, desperately looking for him. So the bond skill icon is now, you're not going to be able to see that probably behind Sebastian's head. Just about, yeah. So it's now slightly more flowery. Doesn't look drastically different.
Weird flex, but okay.
They just changed the look of it. They didn't change anything about
Yeah.
the wording, right? Okay.
Yeah.
No, just the icon. There's some stuff about guild activity. Basically, they're giving people have been complaining there's not enough an opportunity to get the guild coins. Obviously, with the introduction of the two ancients and the shard fragments, guild coin economy has been terrible.
Yeah.
Now they've kind of introduced this money pit. We're not really. It kind of goes into a little pot down here that's next to on the homepage, which says dividend, and it's there we go. So it comes up with a figure, and then there's a leaderboard in the team depending on how much they've contributed, and then
Okay.
leaders and vice leaders get extra coins by the fact that they exist.
It better not be a
How do
whole
you,
lot. It better be
how do you
like 20,
contribute?
or
It says
otherwise you're gonna.
30%. It's like
Oh
30%
man.
extra.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Good day to be a guild leader.
yeah, or it did
How do you
say that.
contribute?
Yeah, that's what's not clear. I'm looking back through the notes.
Okay.
So
Just guild
this is why I
activity. So
wanted to
that's just
check.
your three guild quests and your GVG. How much you engage in GVG, how well you do. Is that all we're determining as guild activity?
It's not clear.
Prob-
It really isn't clear.
Probably.
You'd think on normally stuff like that, the tooltip would say this is how you get extra guild coins. This is where the dividend is calculated, but
Yeah.
no, it just says you get
Total guild activity.
total guild activity, and there you go. Leader and vice leaders get 30% extra guild coin.
My
Uh,
assumption, if you back out of here and you go to your guild members,
yeah,
there you go. Yeah, see 7-day activity. So we're
yeah,
talking about this stuff, guild
Yeah.
quests and everything.
yeah.
I bet that's all it is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably gonna be it. Hmm.
corresponding activities get converted to guild.
Yep.
Yeah,
So farming, GBG, guild boss, all that other,
Yep.
all the good stuff is gonna get added onto this. Yep, exactly.
which
So
basically
we
shows I don't farm enough.
Well, no, but I mean, this is kind of midweek, right? Week activity for at least for this board here, Arcturus, for us, because
Hmm.
the update just posted on Thursday, I think it was. But yeah, once a full week comes into play, and we can then look and see how the guild wars activity matches to this, in addition
Yeah.
to guild boss and Semra, then we'll be able to truly tell how what is giving you the most points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it though. Being able to get that legendary skill crystal and the ancients every week, that would be great.
Mhm. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
Uh, right. They've introduced some stuff that if you're in a guild which has low activity, you're going to be able to leave more easily. We did talk about this last week. We're obviously in a high end active guild, so this doesn't really affect us. But if you don't have a lot of active people, then
Yeah.
you can basically apply to other guilds. You don't have to a cooldown to change between guilds, and people in top guilds can actually actively send you invites and pull you out. So uh, it's helping people who are in guilds that are dying or in holder guilds between activities, or even if you're moving
Yeah.
between guilds and you just want to sit somewhere. So, and a few minor achievements. One is the Necropolis Vanquisher, which is for completing AMR 22. And the other is for completing all of the faction trials. So they're two new achievements, and Legend Among Legends, which I can't remember what that one is for.
Well, the necropolis one, you're gonna get artifact essence, a mythic
Yeah,
essence,
Artifact
if you
Essence.
haven't
That was a
achieved it.
nice
Nice.
one.
Right. So let me just lean over a little bit so you guys can see that.
That's
And
nice.
for completing faction wars, now not only do you get a free legendary, you get 2 ancient crystals. You can see that
Nice.
Yeah.
there. And the other one is the whale exclusive, because you need 100
Oh,
legendaries for it.
100 different legendaries.
Yep.
Oh, and you only get 1,000 diamonds? Come on now.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, no, but
I
you do
know.
get this. You get a little banner flash which says, I'm a whale.
Yeah, exactly. You get a medallion so you can put it in your profile.
Yeah.
When do you think they're going to expand faction trials? When are we going to get a chaotic and arbiter faction trials? Or like stage
Uh,
15s?
they're gonna need
I
more heroes first of all,
yeah. I
for
I
chaotic
mean,
at least.
I mean there's
I don't know.
enough.
Yeah.
It'll be, depending on how long you've been playing, how lucky you've gotten, right? It'll be difficult, but there's enough in all of the pools 12s, right? People have beaten all 12s for what, like 18 months at this point.
18
People have
months. Yeah,
thousands and
exactly.
thousands and thousands of just sigils stocked up because it's maxed
Yeah.
out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we still have all these attributes here that are not gaining any points in the Pantheon. So I'm assuming that that's what it's going to get expanded to. And I keep kidding people with the crit rate because we keep getting ancient pieces from GR1 that is only crit damage, attack, bonus,
Yeah.
and attack speed, right? There's never any crit rate. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you cannot be teasing us to use crit rate amulets in the endgame. There's just no way. There's no reason to do it.
Yeah.
Some of these bosses is just too high defense, so you can't get away. There
Yeah.
has to be something coming down the pipeline for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few pieces of gear in my account because I have a very old account. I've worked out it's over 1,000 days old that I've been playing this game now. So,
Wow.
yeah, so it's definitely I have some gear that does have MRes on it. That tells you that like from the beta days, but it's very rare to see anything with an MRes bonus associated with it. I know it's a stat in game, but it's not really one that the game is that interested in boosting. So
Yeah.
I think that's a legacy holdout, and I wouldn't be surprised if that disappeared at some point.
I think we're going to get an expansion to faction trials in some way, whether it's more stages, more levels here in the Pantheon, or maybe even, chaotic and arbiters. We know there's a new faction on the horizon, right? So
Yeah.
maybe it's when they get released, they expand faction trials also, but I think it'll happen in the next 6 months. I think so. I think it'll happen around the anniversary or maybe shortly after.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I was leaning more that way. It's added stages to of a new keep opening up.
yeah, I think part of the problem is that currently they have it so it's one a day. So if you introduce another faction, do you then start having some days where the two open? I know some other games do that. You end up with something like the Arbiters open twice a week. The Arbiters and Chaotic, they open twice a week, but it's not on consecutive days. So you'd have it like open on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and the Chaotics on a Wednesday and a Friday type thing. So,
or you could have it that is a special stat boost or a special faction, because in King Arthur's Legends Rise, I think that there is one that only opens up on Sunday, and that is because it has a valuable resource that you can only farm. They only made it farmable at that time, so it could be something like that as well. This keeps going in its rotation, but then there's a special one where it's only open on Sunday, or something like that.
yeah, I mean, once you hit 320 on the Dragon, there's not really too much to do with it. So it's I mean, at least they backed down from the original concept. So way back when this guy was a salamander, and there was slots for two other animals you were going to unlock at some point. But now we've just got our little dragon fellow here, and but yeah, and he's half geared. So at some point they are going to have to do something about that, or just quietly go in with a paintbrush and just wipe those 4 missing stats off, because it does look silly at the moment.
According to the official leak video, right, that War Guides did with the developers, it is getting expanded in some way this year. It's just what and when is the question.
Well, we were supposed to get a Abyssal Drake in Q1, and we're rapidly approaching that period. And he kind of showed up in the patch notes, but they'd never arrived on the server. So
yeah, we'll see.
Who knows? Right, so that was really it for the patch notes. I didn't really have anything else to discuss. So, anyone who's stuck with us to the end, please let us know your thoughts on Arena and the hell that it is. What you think could be brought to the game. If you're really excited about getting hold of these new achievements, let us know and tune in next time. Thank you very much, Jake, for joining us. Yeah, it's been fun to have you on.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay. So I would say to everybody, please do hit like and subscribe. Remember, we are trying to push the number of subscribers in this channel. And I will see you all next week. Thank you very much. Jake.
Thanks for having me.
Bye bye.